Good morning all, and thank you Barry for coming here. And we opened this appointment of Border Art Fair, Future Landscapes, with this first interview. Mm-hmm. And I know you are coming from Germany,
yes,
and
yes.
But originally you are from United States.
Correct.
And today we will open this exhibition presenting a video work created by you. That is a mix of digital and visual work. So I would like to ask you, first of all, what about your artistic work in general, and after, if you can give us some more information about your work.
Sure. So I work in an interdisciplinary format. Coming from a musical background, a lot of my work is centered around musical structures, and I experiment a lot with archival footage, as you can tell now. I like to kind of deconstruct the past by using the archival footage and making something new out of it. And with this video, it's a mixture of found footage and digitized footage. And I just started exploring this format recently because of COVID. I don't really have access to shoot outside, especially coming from the USA. And so this was another interesting way of working with film.
One question about your background, only because I'm curious to know how is your approach in the artistic area, and why you arrived to this kind of digital work. You worked in the music industry in which area? Editing,
Sure.
Producing?
Yes. So I have a background in sound design for theater, actually.
Okay.
So a lot of my work starts with the music first. Music and the sound. I'm specifically emphasizing a lot on the percussive elements because I used to play percussion, hand percussion. And so a lot of my work is driven by rhythm. And so if you, once you experience the audio, you'll notice it's very percussive heavy and with a little bit of touches of experimental music, particularly experimental hip hop, ambient.
And for moving to this kind of works, you started to study, I think, some 3D softwares.
Yes. I'm actually starting a AI residency now, where I'm studying how to include artificial intelligence. But a lot of this is used with just basic video software. Because the footage is already composed, what I usually do is I just recolor it and re-edit to a specific beat and layer a lot. There's a lot of textures and a lot of layer in this work specifically. So
basically, are you expressing yourself by video works, or are you experimenting and exploring other media related to the art?
That's a great question. I think what I'm doing here is a combination of all three, or all four of the things you just asked. It usually starts off as a process. I like to investigate. First, I like to just throw in and see what it becomes. But then as I progress throughout the process, I start to think of other things I can kind of turn it into. Here, this was an original black and white moving image, but with the music, it becomes something else. It almost becomes a dance or a musical, or whatever the audience perceives it as. So there's a heavy emphasis on experimenting, but I like to say it's a huge expression of mine too, to just layer and let the art kind of evolve throughout the duration of the piece.
That's great. Yeah. And what about your the meaning of this work?
Sure.
And if you are working and continuing on the same concept, or you are working for your future works on other concepts?
Yeah, the meaning behind this, there's a lot of different meanings, but I'll focus on one. One meaning is that I feel like we live in a culture where it's very hyper-connective, especially with Instagram. So I think here it's like taking things that have been discarded or has been archived as old and repurposing it and giving life to what's been considered to be old and not useful. And I think I will continue doing this because I noticed on Instagram and other visual platforms that people have already started doing this. And so I would like to grow it by designing installations so that you can kind of experience it in an experiential or a bodily way. Because right now it's just on the screen, but I'd like people to feel it more. So maybe eventually I'd like to build more sound heavy video installations. That way you're like kind of entrapped
So
by what you're
something more
experiencing.
immersive.
Exactly. And interactive, it'd be cool for you to interact with it as well. Because there's a lot going on here, I think, so, yeah.
Thank you for
Of course.
coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for explaining more and giving us more information about your work and
Thank
your
you.
exploration.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah.
We hope without these
Yeah,
masks.
exactly. I'm like,
To discuss again without these borders.
Sure.
But thank you for participating in
Thank you
our
for having me. Yep.